Oh, hi guys, welcome to the latest episode of Cricket Draft Insight. Game's live, so it's time for the most important video of the year. Every year, it is my county championship squad announcement. Right, starting with the batters, keeping the faith with Caleb Jewell, who I had every week last season, apart from maybe the last week or two, because I think he went back to Australia, where he's done abysmally, to be honest with you. He did score 100 like pre-Christmas. He's been really poor recently. He was a bit poor last season, then he just kind of had a bit of an uptick. But I still think he'll come good in Division 2. We had a lot of quick fire, sort of 60s and 70s last year. He only went on once, but he did score a double 100. And I just think in Division 2, he will score quickly. If I leave him out, I'll regret it, even though I'm tempted by a few other options. So, yeah, Caleb Jewell stays in there. And Ali Orr is the other batter I'm going for. Well, two more batters, obviously, but to start with Ali Orr, I've had Miles Hammond for a bit in the past. Josh Bohannon is one and moved on from him a bit back, moved on from him in the One Day Cup, and then he scored two back-to-back hundreds. Anyway, I just think the time is right for Ali Orr. Had him in the One Day Cup last year, scored a few hundreds, didn't he? I think he will be backed at the start of this season. He should have been backed before. Made some starts at the end of last season in red ball. I managed to watch a bit of him in the One Day Cup, and I watched a little bit of pre-season. I just clicked on and he played this reverse sweep. He's not going to come off every time, but I think he will score quickly. He can score around the wicket, hit sixes. I just think his time is now. He's got to come good in red ball at Hampshire now. So Jewell and Orr, I see my opening batters as such. And then I've got Kieran Carlson. I read about Kieran Carlson. It was interesting to see one or two people post about Carlson actually, because I've mentioned before about his numbers. Like they're ingrained in my head. I think he's averaged like 45, 40 and 46 the last 3 years. Yes, he's going up to Division 1, but he is captain. I saw some suggested 11s. He might be at 3. I think he'll be at 4, which is where I want him. He can score quickly too. And on that note, I think the strike rate criteria dropped slightly, which might be relevant when we come to my all-rounders. But yeah, Caleb Jewell, Ali Orr, and Kieran Carlson. That's my batting lineup. On to all-rounders. I'll start with Saif Saib and Ethan Brooks. Now, again, look, I don't like to pick somebody because they scored 100 last week. I like to think I go my own way. But a few of these selections are, as I'll come to Ryan Higgins, obviously a very popular one nowadays. I don't think Saif Saib was in 22% of teams at the start of last season, but I had him at the start of last season. And of course, he went on to be the highest point scorer. Does he bowl enough for that all-rounder category? I think it's fair enough he's an all-rounder, but I understand why some people wouldn't want him. But obviously, was he a leading run scorer, leading point scorer last season? Score quickly. I'm not expecting him to back up last season, quite to that extent where he's averaging 64. But hopefully he'll still do well in the middle order. I know there's got a few spinners, but I think if you look around all teams, whether you're looking at pacers or whatever, so many teams have like genuine 5-6 bowling options, and this fear of other look at Warwickshire, like other bowlers taking away overs. But I still think Zabe will chip in at times, even with the other spin options. Hopefully score some runs. Could probably be at 5, so he's a bit protected there. So he's in there, along with Ethan Brooks, who's another one you might say, well, he's not going to bowl so much. But he did take a lot of catches last year, and he scores quickly. We didn't quite have consistency, but I think he is kicking on. And obviously he's still quite cheap. I think he's about 5.7 million. So in a way, you could say Barnard is the bigger mission for me here. Before we considered likes of Coles and Hill, always struggled to get in. So Zabe and Brooks. Then got Ryan Higgins as captain. Even if he finished with a couple of ducks last season, even if it didn't really feel to me like he had a stellar season, because I think he only had 250s and didn't make 60, but he did take 40 wickets. And then I've got Ben Kellaway as vice captain, which I'll reiterate later is now not just an afterthought. Okay, vice captain, 1.5 multiplier. Okay, I think Kellaway scores quickly, and I think he takes some cheap wickets. I know you might think a pacer might mop it up, but I still think he just bowling at the end. Teams are setting up a declaration, and he's just bowling spin, picks up some cheap wickets. So those all-rounder roles: Zabe, Brooks, Kellaway, and Higgins. My wicketkeeper is Michael Pepper. Yeah, generally I did him for a few years, once or twice when I was like, oh, can't make a decision. I'll start the season with one player per team. I've gone elsewhere. Pepper scores quickly. So, even though I've ummed and ahed at times, like I've just gone with this team is instinctive. It's my crew of players that I enjoy. It's all about having fun. Pepper's got to be in there. On the bowling front, I've got Ben Code, which, if anything, is the slightly riskiest selection. I'm already thinking ahead to those tricky weeks, and this is going to sound really daft, but I just got told some big weeks coming at work, like on a Friday in a few weeks. I'm like, oh my goodness, because bowler sub is the one I'm a bit concerned about. I'm haunted by Code and Porter getting rested last year. Code isn't going to play every week, right? Yorkshire for a start have at least one too many options, but God, please play game week 1. He can smack a few runs too, and if I don't pick Code and he's keeping it tight, taking wickets early on, I'm going to be pulling my hair out. So Ben Code's in, along with Jamie Porter, who is now just one of the main men for me, moved away from Sam Cook a bit back. I saw some people suggesting, like it was suggested, wasn't it, that Cook comes along, Bob's Porter wickets out. Like the other bowlers, Porter's still going to take a load of wickets for not many runs. Code and Porter. And then it's Gabe Bell, which does mean somebody like Harry Conway missing out, who I'd love to pick. I just have absolutely no doubt. I'm going to be at work. It's going to be lunchtime, if I haven't sneakily checked my phone already. And I'm going to sit down and Gloucestershire bowling, and Gabe Bell's going to take him 3 wickets, no probs, and then maybe he comes back on and takes some later. Gabe Bell is going to take wickets. I know a few people switched on to him. They don't want me mentioning his name too much. Like Gabe Bell, that is cricket draft aficionados. They've got Gabe Bell in the team. He will deliver. Code Porter Bell. On my bench, I've currently got Joe Phillips. There's lots of young batters. Obviously, people raving about Allison. I do think he's a bit undervalued. Wharton, Budinger, McCann. I've got Joe Phillips. I think he starts. He's 5 million. I was looking at the sub, like game week 3 and 4, where like only half the teams play, but then there's lots of subs anyway. But then just remember with all your transfers, but just remember with your transfers, you do then have to, like, it's not just about that week, it's about the week after. Because I had times before, there was one time I forgot, was it Jordan Thompson? Even Higgins had to come out and I was like, oh my God, how do I get them back in? Phillips on the bench. And then I got a real dark horse selection. Now I know Ralphie Albert is in with a chance of playing. I think Josh Thomas is a heck of a selection. Yes, he's an all-rounder, and because of Leach, he probably isn't going to bowl. He is an all-rounder, but he just isn't going to get that chance. But I think he's opening the batting for Somerset. Yeah, okay, he's only going to be on my bench unless something happens, of course. But he's a shrewd selection, 4.5 million, Josh Thomas. Interesting to me that George Thomas went to Sussex. Is he going to get any chance this year? Probably the usual one-day cup will be a big deal. Josh Thomas stayed there, went on loan a bit. He's going to open for Somerset. Really interesting. Matty Hurst on the bench has been my reserve wicketkeeper for a long time. And obviously, there's occasions where Pepper misses out. Hurst will score a quick 50. Fine. But there's logic in him being on my bench. And then the bowler, I've gone for Michael Booth. I know he was popular. Was it start last season? Because he's probably an all-rounder, really. It just fits with the money. He did well, didn't he? And he got injured. But Warwickshire, like I'm saying, they're one you look at their 11. Does he play? And if he does, there's a lot of bowling options. Like I say, they do rob each other of overs, I know. But bowler is the one I'm going to have to look at, because if there is an occasion where I can't get to my phone, and like I say, Code ain't going to play every week. We just have to hope we get an indication from the squad announcement. What I don't need is the likes of Ben Code and Jamie Porter being named in a squad to not be selected in the 11. Like, if you're not playing them, just don't name them in the squad. But it's week 1, okay? So that's my squad. Primarily keeping the faith, sprinkled with a little bit of updating variety. Last year, I had this core squad, the players I've had, my England under-the-radar crew, what I think are the best of the rest. None of this getting called up to England. People talking about Duckett, Crawley, Root, Brook. Yeah, but unless we're told when they're going to play, if Crawley plays week 1, week 3, week 5, I don't get it. I only had 1 penalty transfer last year. I don't deal with those sort of players. I don't think it's worth it. So yeah, Jewell, Orr and Carlson. I've dropped Carlson once or twice in the past. He made me pay. Zabe, Brooks, just exciting players for me. I appreciate the argument if they don't bowl as much, but I just like them. They score quickly. Higgins as captain when they're playing, and that is another thing for me. Like, he is my captain. It's not who am I captaining this week, who am I captaining that week, because I'll just be again getting frustrated because I captained Higgins and Brooks outscored him. I captained Brooks and Kellaway outscored him. Higgins is my captain. Okay, it's a decision. I don't fret myself about that. Higgins is my captain, and if there's 1 week where I don't play, well, maybe it's Kellaway because he's vice captain. Okay, so Kellaway is my vice captain, and like I say, that decision is now important. Okay, Pepper wicket keeper. Code Porter Bell. After a bit of umming and ahhing, 1 or 2 players, 1 point going for the old 1 player per team. So no, this is it. Instinctive team. And if the likes of Miles Hammond and Harry Conway do well, fair enough. Okay. And as I say, on the bench, Phillips, who did all right last year, scored 100, tailed off slightly, but I think he starts. Josh Thomas, really interesting one. Dark horse selection. Matty Hurst, I'm always fine. Matty Hurst on the bench. Still only 6 million, is he? And who do I say? Keep forgetting my bowler. Move. Okay. So, like I say, I'll just reiterate, vice captaincy, really important. And the other thing, which I'll drop in when I'm editing the video, is my league code, which is open for entries, and I'll post that on Twitter as well. And just a big shout out to everybody who's following me. Nice to have a few views recently. Comments, nice to have lots of comments. New followers on Twitter, that's what I expect for this time of year. Normally see a bit of new interest. So that's great. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck this season. How's that?